Welcome to the February the 3rd, 2004 taping of It Happened in Grand Prairie, Texas, as we bring you the history of our city and some of the people that have made that very important history happen. And this is the first taping in February, and always in February we salute and dedicate our work on It Happened in Grand Prairie for Black History Month. And we are very, very excited and very honored today. We have a young man that is really splendid as an example not only to our boys and girls but to all of the citizens of Grand Prairie. Has a wonderful, wonderful history in our city, and we're so pleased to bring our history number 507 on this magic date of Kurt Johnson. And Kurt, we welcome you to the set, young man.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Thank you for having me here today.
We're very excited because you are the new president of the NAACP in Grand Prairie, Texas.
That's correct.
Yes. Now that's really secondary to the reason we're having you here, because you have such an illustrious bio. The people in Grand Prairie, Texas are going to be really excited to learn more about you, with your permission.
Thank you.
All right. Now, Kurt, the format of this is that we really want to impress the boys and girls.
Okay.
And to let them know that regardless of the race or anything else, or color or creeds or whatever that hang a lot of people up, it all depends on a person making that wonderful history. And you've really gotten a good start on yours, and we want the boys and girls and the people of Grand Prairie to know about you too. So the very first thing that we would ask you, if you would do for us, if you would look out into Kurt's camera over here,
okay,
and tell us about the real Kurt Johnson, starting with your birth, where you were born, and just tell me a little bit about the place, and give me the name of both of your parents, including your mother's maiden name, if you'd do that for us.
Okay, my name is Kurt Johnson. I was born November 26, 1965 in Shreveport, Louisiana, to my late parents, Herbert Johnson and Arzada Johnson. Her maiden name was Stinson. I had three other brothers, one whose name is Vance Johnson, who's preceded me also in death, and my two other brothers who live in Shreveport at this time. And
their names?
Howell and Powell Ely. They're twins.
They're twins. That's wonderful. That is really great. Well, being born in Shreveport, Louisiana, and since you have lost your parents, tell us what your parents did for a living when you were a little kid.
My mother, she was a nurse's aide at one of the local hospitals in Shreveport, and my father was an environmental specialist at the state hospital in Shreveport. And we worked as children some odd jobs here and there to help out with the family. And most of my friends know me from back home is that I've been working for a very long time, so I have a very strong work ethic background when I come to different places.
Wonderful. Now, when you began your school age when you were a young man, did you begin that in Shreveport, or had you moved from there at that time?
In Shreveport, I lived in Shreveport all my life.
All right.
I started working in high school. I wanted to get out and earn some cash for myself that my parents weren't able to provide certain things for me. So I just started working from 15 on to the present.
Where did you go to elementary school?
I went to Warner Park Elementary School in Shreveport, Louisiana.
And at Warner Park, was there a very special teacher during your time in elementary school that said, look, Kurt, come on, you're going to be famous, you can do anything you want to do? Was there an encourager or someone that kind of really took you under their wing in elementary school that impressed you, that you remember?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Decker was my favorite teacher. She was my fourth grade teacher. And she saw a lot of things in me and encouraged me and discussed there's a lot of opportunity out there for me as long as I stayed focused and knew what I wanted to do. And so Miss Decker was one of my favorite teachers in elementary school.
Do you, by any chance, keep in touch with any of your past teachers in your elementary school? Have you been back to your old elementary school?
No, I have not been back to Warner Park.
Now, that is a project for you, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. It sure is.
Yes, that would be wonderful to go back to the school, even though Ms. Decker might not still be there teaching in those classes. But after elementary school, what school did you attend?
I attended Midway Middle School, where the Mohawks, and I enjoyed playing football and basketball at the middle school.
Any favorite teachers there, or favorite subjects, academics, or even electives?
My favorite teacher in the Midway Middle School was Ms. Wiggins. She was my history teacher. And for history, most of the students thought it was very boring, but she made it very exciting for us. We had a lot of class projects that kept us interested in learning history, our history.
And after middle school, where?
I went from being a Mohawk at Midway Middle School to Fair Park High School, where we were the Indians.
The Indians, okay. And going from middle school into the high school, how did that grab you as far as a young person's concerned, going into the big time?
To be actually honest with you, I was really nervous going from middle school to high school. I thought that was a very big step. Going there as a sophomore, sitting around with juniors and seniors, I felt really nervous. But when I actually got there, I met new friends and had bonds with other students from other junior high schools that we just stayed together and had a great high school tour together.
Favorite subjects and favorite teachers in high school?
My favorite teacher in high school was Miss Deborah McCauley. She was my English teacher.
Okay.
She really got on me and wrote me day after day about my class assignments. She understood that I was working nights and asked me to stop working to focus on my education. And I actually had taken her advice, and I appreciate Miss McCauley coming into my life to telling me, these are the things you need to do. And she really set me on a good path for the future.
Okay. Now, that was English. How about your academics other than English? Were there any other favorite subjects that you just decided at that time, I'm going to really clue in on this and maybe further my education a little bit later on? Did you get any encouragement in that direction?
I looked at more of business subjects because I looked at being a businessman when I completed college, and just business math, business science, different things like that.
All right. And graduating from that school where you were an Indian, in what magic year?
1983.
1983 was the good year, wasn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and after graduation, you were footloose and fancy-free now. Are you sort of lost? Where are you going?
That's going to be a surprise to everyone. You know, when you're saying, I can't wait to get out of high school, you graduate from high school, and then all of a sudden, hey, where am I going to go today?
Yeah.
You wake up in the mornings, I don't have to go to school. So I actually enlisted into the Navy at that time.
Oh, you went into the Navy. Okay, tell me a little bit about your beginning career in the Navy, because I think everyone in the viewing audience would like to know where you got into the Navy and what happened to you, say, in the next couple of years.
Okay. I enlisted in the Navy in 1983 from Shreveport, Louisiana, not knowing what to do or what the Navy is all about. But for one thing for sure, I knew I didn't want to enlist in the Army, because the majority of my classmates were enlisted into the Army. So I just chose the Navy. I went into the Navy under the delayed entry program as a non-designated striker, meaning I didn't have a specific job in the Navy when I was assigned there. So I went in and had the opportunity for 6 months to look around, see what type of jobs I wanted to do in the Navy.
Well, isn't that exciting? I did not know that that was permitted, and that is great. Give you an opportunity to get your feet on the ground, doesn't it?
Yes, ma'am. So from there, I ended up designating as a dispersing clerk, where you do the ship's payroll. And I thought that was the best job in the Navy, doing financial records, the payroll, paying the crew. I'm all about providing service to everyone, and I felt that was my best fit at the time.
And how long did all of this last?
My first trip, I was on board the USS Iowa, BB-61, from 1984 to 1986.
And where was it birthed?
It was birthed in Norfolk, Virginia.
In Norfolk, Virginia. And did you stay in that place all of the time, or did you get to set sail?
I sailed halfway around the world, and I never had an opportunity to go overseas, and the opportunity the Navy afforded me to go overseas to see different cultures, different environments, I think has helped shape me in my career today.
That is wonderful. And you were on the Iowa how long?
Approximately 3 years.
About 3 years, and it took you all over the world. And did you have any other kind of experiences other than the one that you started out in the payroll area?
No, ma'am. On board the ships, you have to know more than just your rating. You have to learn how to do firefighting. And I was curious about why do I need to learn how to do firefighting, but on board the ships, you got to see if there's a fire, who's going to put the fire out. So the crew all had to know how to put out the fires.
Oh, so each and every one of you had that learning experience too?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then from the Iowa, where did Kurt go?
I left the Iowa in 1986 and affiliated with the Naval Air Station, Dallas, Texas, that was in Grand Prairie at the time.
Yes.
And I was assigned there for 4 years.
For 4 years. And do you remember your commander at that time?
Lieutenant Commander Hill. She's also a Grand Prairie resident.
Oh, that is great. And that's wonderful. And you spent how many years at Navy Dallas, which is near Grand Prairie?
4 years.
4 years. And what did you do there?
I was a disbursing clerk there for 4 years, a primary job.
Okay.
And at the same time, I attended Northwood Institute, that is Northwood University right now.
Yes.
Going to school part-time in the evenings.
And studying?
Studying business administration.
You're still clued in on that business. You knew what you wanted to do, for sure,
Yes,
didn't
ma'am.
you? That's great. And at Northwood, while you were there, you went to Northwood all of the time you were at Navy Dallas.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
After I finished my degree with Northwood Institute, that's Northwood University right now, I decided to separate from the Navy, give the civilian community opportunity to see if I can be successful out there. And I received my first job with the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, working in payroll and personnel.
And that was located where in the Dallas area?
It was located in Addison, Texas.
Addison, Texas. Did you move to Addison, Texas?
No, ma'am, I stayed in Arlington at the time.
And are you still a single man, or have you branched out any?
I'm married right now to my wife, Felicia.
All right. And but at the time you moved to Addison, you were not married?
No, ma'am, I was a single.
Oh, you were a single young man. Okay, and going to Addison, what happened after Addison?
I started looking for more career-enhancing opportunities. I was seeking out to become a bank examiner with the FDIC, and a position became available. I applied for it, and I was hired to become an assistant bank examiner with the FDIC.
And that was located where?
Richardson, Texas.
Richardson, Texas. You're just moving all over the Metroplex. You're making a complete circle. That's
Yes,
great.
ma'am.
And how was it to be a junior bank examiner?
I was very excited about becoming a bank examiner because
Is this state and federal?
I was the federal.
You were, oh, that is the worst one of all. That is the hardest one. I served on a bank board of a federal bank, and that is a real tough one to follow the rules, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
They're very exacting, aren't they?
Very.
Uh-huh. And you got to be the one that was the exactor, didn't you?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was in Richard. How long did you stay there doing that?
I was there for 2.5 years as an assistant bank examiner. At the same time, I was affiliated with the Naval Reserves, and I applied to become a Navy officer. And I was accepted into the Supply Corps community, and I went to school for that.
And where was the school?
In Athens, Georgia.
In Athens, Georgia? You just picked up and left this federal job and go to Athens, Georgia for how long?
18 months.
And tell me what they taught you there.
They teach supply officers about stores, meaning supply management,
Yes?
food service operation, retail operation. For retail operations, the same as being a department store manager.
Yes.
Dispersing, banking manager, hazardous material, how to handle hazardous materials.
How to order and supply and keep everything on an even keel?
Yes, ma'am.
I know that was very, very exciting. And when you finished in Georgia, where'd you go?
I was actually recalled to Haiti for 6 months doing Operation Uphold Democracy. I went to represent
Tell me about the Operation Pro Democracy.
Operation Uphold Democracy. We went there as a contracting officer for the United Nations. So I actually wore the powder blue hat
Yes.
and drove the UN vehicles
Yes.
and negotiated with the U.S. negotiators on procedures on how we're going to pay for certain services in Haiti.
In Haiti. And how long were you in Haiti?
I was in Haiti for 4.5 months.
That was exciting, wasn't it?
It was very.
Yes. And what was the most exciting thing that happened to you in your tenure in Haiti? Something you learned or something you did or something that was impressive?
Being on a contingency that large, getting all the
Yes.
contingent countries together, moving on the same page. It's very large, but at the same time, it moves slow, but we actually got the job done.
Oh, that is really wonderful. And what called you from Haiti?
I was picked up as a full-time support officer to go to Fort Dix, New Jersey.
And you're back in the United States and in New Jersey.
Yes, ma'am.
All up the eastern seaboard. And in New Jersey, how long were you there and what did you do there?
At Fort Dix, New Jersey, I was a logistics officer for 18 months. And from there, I transferred from Fort Dix, New Jersey to Earl, New Jersey on board the USS Detroit. There, I served as the cargo officer and dispersing officer.
This is your second ship, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's exciting. And was that more fun than being in Haiti or being on your second ship and having that experience?
Yes, being on board my second ship as a division officer,
Yes.
as a cargo and dispersing officer, I thought that was a very rewarding tour, and enjoyed being on board the ship for 2 years.
For 2 years. And after 2 years aboard ship, where?
I left there and finally came back to Texas.
Were you still in the Navy?
Still in the Navy.
Still in the Navy, but you were transferred back to where?
Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base, Fort Worth.
In Fort Worth.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the Joint Reserve Base that really is the stepchild of Navy Dallas.
Yes, ma'am.
But now it's #1.
Yes, no.
Oh, it is really great. I know that so many of the years that we were associated with Navy Dallas, of course, we interviewed many of the commanders.
Okay.
And then when they took all of you all over to the Joint Reserve Base, we missed you all terribly because we used you for many military things in the Grand Prairie area.
Okay.
And are you there now?
I'm stationed there now, but before I left Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base in 2001
Okay.
and went on to my third ship, the USS Boone, as a department head.
The third ship, that's the magic one, the number 3.
Number 3.
And where was number 3 Boone located?
We were located in Mayport, Florida.
In Florida. So you've been to all up the eastern seaboard and to South Carolina and Georgia and all of this, and now to Florida.
Yes, ma'am.
What happened on the Boone?
I served as a department head, and that was my favorite tour because I had all services up under me, the materiel, food service, retail operation, and dispersing. And being a supply officer on board the ship, I went on deployment and I dealt with the husbanding agent. A husbanding agent is someone that's overseas, that's designated when the ship is pulled in or moored. They will greet and meet the ship and get you your supplies.
Yes. All right. You have someone that's meeting you on shore, and that really does help, doesn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
And after you left the Boone, where did you go?
I came back to Fort Worth, the Naval Air Station, Fort Worth.
Fort Worth. And are you there now?
I'm here now as the deputy supply officer.
And that's wonderful. And now, during all of this tenure, when we've been all of these places, you've met this beautiful lady from Dallas, and you've married her. So let's talk about where you became engaged.
I actually met my wife when we were at Naval Air Station Dallas.
All right.
1988.
All right.
And
How did you meet her?
She was assigned there as a civilian employee, and that's where we met.
Okay.
And we just started talking and dating from that point.
Mm-hmm. And did you ask her to marry you, or did she say, come on down?
I asked her to marry me. I was very honored and proud to ask her to be my wife.
Isn't that wonderful? Now give us her full name, please.
Her name is Felicia Rochelle Foster Johnson.
Yes, and I saw her from afar when we had the NAACP meeting the other day, and she is a beautiful young lady.
Thank you.
And you all have children.
We have 3 children at this time, and primarily that's where we're just gonna have 3 children. We have a son named Timothy, who's a student at Truman Middle School.
All right.
And my 2 daughters, Brittany and Kirsten, are students at Florence Hill Elementary School.
Excellent campuses. Both of those are excellent campuses. And you live in Grand Prairie, Texas.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're going to give you 14 brownie points extra for living in Grand Prairie and having to drive to the Joint Reserve Base to do your work, because that sometimes would be kind of hairy in traffic, but thank you for doing that. And when did you decide that you were going to be the leader of the NAACP in Grand Prairie, Texas?
That's a good question, because in 2002, while I was on a ship out to sea, I was thinking about what did I want to do when I came back to Grand Prairie, because I knew I had orders and I was coming back. And I thought about joining the NAACP to help out and assist them in anything they needed to do. But at the same time, I'm always looking for opportunities to show my leadership skills and to bring people together as a whole. So it was actually back in 2002 on board the ship when I decided to. When I got back to Grand Prairie, I was going to try to make a change.
You had already made up your mind. That is so exciting. And then when you came back in and you got into the system, were you pleased with what you found, or you just have some more exciting things that are going to happen in Grand Prairie as far as the NAACP is concerned?
I was pleased with what I found. I actually served Mr. Daly as his chairperson of the Political Action Committee.
Yes.
And at the time, he was going to run unopposed. And I felt, well, I was going to give it a stab at it, an opportunity to see if I could actually win the presidency during the last year's election.
Yes, and you did.
Yes, ma'am.
You did. And who is your greatest supporter, other than your wife, of course? Do you have a team? Do you have a committee, an executive committee that really does support you in this new work?
Yes, ma'am. All my officers, the first Vice President, Andy White,
Yes.
the Treasurer, Dale Roberts, the Secretary, Dandrin Gray, and Angela Lucky, who's over the Freedom Fund Committee. They're very supportive to my goals and desires, what I'm trying to get accomplished.
That's wonderful. And being in Grand Prairie, Texas, are you involved in any other thing other than NAACP? Do you have a church, a lodge, or organizations that you belong to? Other than the PTA, you better belong to all of those PTAs.
Right now, I'm a member of Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship. That's in Oak Cliff, Texas.
All right.
Other than that,
Do you teach classes, or do you just attend?
I just attend right now.
Okay.
Right. I'm also a full-time student going to Columbia College to receive my master's, my MBA.
Good.
So I'm very tired of
Still in business?
Master's Business Administration.
That is a toughie to get to. And,
Yes, ma'am.
You are very braver than Dick Tracy to do all of that good stuff. And is there anything that you would like to advise young people that are getting into the workforce, say today, and taking a direction in making their choice of a career? Would you like to encourage them in any way in how they pursue it and how dedicated they are into getting into this thing, like for real?
Yes, ma'am. My biggest thing that I've looked at in my experience, that if you have a goal in life, continue and pursue that goal. You might have obstacles in your way, but as long as you're persistent in trying to achieve and attain those goals, you will be successful. I've learned in my life so far that anything that I put my mind to and set my mind to do, nothing stopped me. I've been able to achieve and accomplish all my goals in life so far, in which I have either more goals in the future that I'm going to try to obtain. But the most important thing is to remember to keep your eyes and focus on the goal, and you should be able to achieve them.
Now, does Felicia have a career other than raising these 3 wonderful children that you have out of the home?
Yes, ma'am. My wife, she's a nurse.
She is a nurse. And where does Felicia do her nursing?
She's what they call a PRN. I'm not sure what the acronym stands for. So she works at several different hospitals.
Uh-huh. So that's wonderful. And you let her out of the cage to do that, and as well as taking care of all of this family. How does she juggle that very well?
Yes, ma'am. She had, for 2 years when I went to the USS Boone in Mayport, Florida, she actually stayed here with the children while I went aboard to serve on my department head tour. So she had the 3 kids to raise by herself during that time and working.
Isn't that splendid?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that is very, very commendable. As far as the young boys and girls are concerned, do your children have their sights on anything special? Have they chosen any careers, or have you pointed them in any direction?
My son, I guess he's trying to emulate me to own his own business. He said, what? I'm not sure yet, but he'd like to own his own business. My daughters were like, my oldest daughter would like to become a WNBA basketball player and
Yes.
lawyer, and she's a very good basketball player. And my youngest daughter, she hadn't decided. She's 7 years old. So.
She is 7.
Yes, ma'am.
I think one of the most exciting things is having grandparents, but you've lost your parents.
Yes, ma'am.
But how about Felicia? Do we have grandparents at all involved in this life?
Yes, ma'am. My mother-in-law and father-in-law are very active with our children.
Okay, well, tell me a little bit about the grandparents.
My mother-in-law, Miss Beverly Smith, we have a very close relationship. She's really stood in as my mother, and I can call her and talk to her about anything just like she's my real mother, and I really appreciate that from her. My father-in-law, whenever we see each other, it's all about sports. Just getting together, just talking about what's going on in the political arena or the latest sporting events, because I'm a sports fanatic.
And tell me about your boys and girls, how they relate to the grandparents. I'm always interested in that as a grandparent.
My children just love their parents. They always want to go over there and spend the night with them, spend some time with their grandparents, and of course, being parents, you want a break, so we more than likely welcome that.
What kind of future is in the offing for Kurt and his new career when he gets his master's? Are you going to hustle on to the doctorate, and what's going to happen to you for your future?
Right now, I'm just going to I should be graduating this coming May
All
from
right.
Columbia College for my MBA. I'm just going to take a year or two off to decide what I want to go do from there because I have 4 more years of service in the Navy before I'm eligible
All
to
right.
retire.
And would all of that be, you hope, at the Joint Reserve Base in Fort Worth?
Yes, ma'am. Those are my goals, to retire at the Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base, Fort Worth.
And then what?
That I hadn't decided yet. I'm looking for opportunities that's available within the city of Grand Prairie.
All right. Are you looking to own your own business or possibly go into the corporate world?
More than likely to go into the corporate world at this point right now.
Okay. And all of that business would really be just great for you, wouldn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you have in, we have about 2 more minutes left, and I'd like for you to encourage anyone that is not a member of the NAACP that is moved to do that, where to get in touch with you, and let's get this thing going.
That's another good question. Just right now, we had a meeting last night, and I gave out the email address and the website address. We have our first website, and you can go to www.naacp-grandprairie.org, and you get the information on our website and an application that you can fill out and join our branch.
That's good. All right. And do you have a magic telephone number where they can get in touch with the NAACP in the event that they have questions?
Yes, ma'am. You can contact me at 972-264-3549.
Okay. And if you'd look out into your camera and thank everyone that helped you have such a successful 3-day happening in Grand Prairie, Texas for the Martin Luther King Day in Grand Prairie, which was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and one of the most exciting parades we've ever had. I'd like for you to thank them in about a minute.
Right now, I'd like to thank all the MLK committee members, Angela Lucky in particular, Dick Twine, Sonny, Toya, Dandrin Gray, Mr. Andy White, Carl Roberts, Darryl Roberts, and if I'm forgetting anyone, please forgive me, but there are so many of you there knew this was going to be a special program. It's the very first one that we have for 3 days in Grand Prairie. And it turned out to be a very success, and I appreciate all your hard work.
Yes, and we appreciate you, Kurt. It's just really wonderful to have you in the community and have you so dedicated and have you so on fire about finishing your education and staying with the Navy and raising boys and girls and encouraging others. And it's just really wonderful to have you as a member of the city of Grand Prairie, Texas. And we want to thank you for the interview and just hope that everything will go well for you in all of your plans, and that you would give your in-laws a real salute, because tell them that they were really featured on here because they are the loving touch of the past, and you already have planned the loving touch of the future with 3 wonderful children at Florence Hill and Truman.
Yes, ma'am.
Those are the good schools, and don't forget to go to the PTA.
I will do that.
We want to thank you so
Thank you, Ms.
very much.
Jackson.
It's been delightful to have you in this interview.
I appreciate it. Thanks
And
for having me.
This is Ruthie Jackson reminding you that history is as we live and do and document it.